speaking with Governor Tim Walz, and the National Guard was activated today. As we know, one of the charges against a former Minneapolis police officer involved in the death of George Floyd was dropped. The most serious charges remain, but Governor, you activated the National Guard. Talk about that and why you see the need.
Yeah, the death of George Floyd the last week of May produced probably the most serious civil unrest maybe in the last 100 years in our nation, certainly rivaling the Watts riots of the late 60s. With that being said, we know that as this case goes forward, there's a lot of emotions that are around it. And one of the lessons learned is having those resources ready. It's costly. It takes some planning. Just makes sense. And we knew today that there would be rulings coming down around this. It looks like the courts upheld 8 of the 9 charges. They removed the least serious of the charges because I think as the Attorney General went in, they updated the charges. All 8 of those held, so that the third-degree murder charge was released. But I think it just, it's prudent for us to be ready. There's legitimate anger, frustration in communities. And there's also those that we saw at the end of May that will take advantage of this, and they will cross the line from peaceful expression of your First Amendment rights to burning property and putting people at risk. And we cannot allow that to happen. So we've got a team of National Guard that are trained specifically in this. They come out of the military police, and they're a quick response team, and they just are put on standby to be able to help if needed. And it looks and appears to me people understand what this ruling is. It's fair. Justice will be vetted. And I think we need to be prepared that one way or another, we trust our court system, we trust our jury system, and once a verdict is rendered, probably sometime in the spring, we need to be prepared to handle that. And I think one of the things the state is doing is making sure there's a little more resources there.
So Senate Republicans put out a report recently based off of hearings organized to review government response to the rioting. This report is critical of your response and other leaders in Minnesota to the rioting. Talk to me about that report, and you've called it kind of suspicious with the timing of it.
Well, it certainly is. I mean, there's emails out there. They said, don't talk about COVID, talk about the riots. I get that. I certainly wouldn't claim that I make every right decision, but I think a partisan report with no input from the National Guard, the State Patrol, the DNR, or my office, who actually made the decisions, who are actually in the room, who actually know this, a lot of speculation. And just to be quite honestly, absolutely no room in this, including my teenage daughter, in a report. Putting her at risk, causing all kinds of personal issues on this. If your source is a teenager's tweet for a report, you may want to rethink where you're at. You also may want to rethink that families get impacted by this. So I don't put a lot of stock in that, but I would tell Minnesotans, I certainly know that there's lessons we need to learn. We saw unrest on a scale never seen before. I'm proud and certainly stand with the National Guard and the State Patrol and the DNR, who responded in a manner that I would make the case. It took 90 days for the governor of Oregon to even use the State Patrol in Portland. It took us about 12 hours. So I get it. They want to make the case, want to blame someone. We all need to come together. A man was killed in front of the world. Outrage sprung up. People took advantage of that, and we are prosecuting them. We are going to put people in jail who did that. And as you saw several times since then, we are responding very quickly, just like we are today in preparation. We're going to make clear distinctions that your grievances and your right to protest and your anguish that you feel over what happened to George Floyd and others is real. And you have every constitutional right to be protected on that. But if you cross that line and you think you're going to burn down a business, especially businesses in communities that are already in pain during COVID, that you will be arrested, you will be prosecuted, and you will go to jail. And that is happening now. And my message is very clear that we're going to address those. And I think the community that's in pain saw that we made reforms in the state legislature. Again, bipartisan reforms around policing that hadn't happened in decades. So there is progress being made, albeit not fast enough. But we do need to be prepared. And I think Minnesotans, we can figure this out. I've said this from the beginning. We're going to be defined either what happened to George Floyd and that week afterwards, or we're going to be defined on the state we become because of it. And reassure your listeners, We vote in higher numbers than any place in the country. Whoever you vote for, that is your business. The state's responsibility, and I can tell you it's happening, is to ensure your safety. Your ballot will be safe. It will be counted fairly. And that those folks who want to try and intimidate or try and say it won't be safe at the polling place, that's absolutely untrue. And that's a very bipartisan message. So, get out and vote. It looks like we're going to vote in historically large numbers. And that's a good thing. And then I think when those votes are tallied, whoever wins, we accept that. That's the way this democracy works. If it is a continuation or if it's a transfer of power, either way, that's the way democracy works. So I just encourage folks, get that vote in, know that it's being secure, and let's try and find that space where we're all in this together, and that those political differences don't have to divide us. They simply can add more choices to what we're doing.
Tim Walz joining me to talk more about the bonding bill and some of the other issues that we are facing in Minnesota. Governor, the signing of the bonding bill yesterday was wonderful progress.
Oh, it's wonderful progress. A lot of folks to thank bipartisanly in the House and Senate. We put this out about a year ago in January, and it was a lot of communities across Minnesota doing things that keep Minnesota functioning: safe roads, bridges, sewage treatment plants, all of those things that make Minnesota a great and safe place to live. It had some, bumps in the road to get it there, but we did it. We did it in a bipartisan manner. It's signed into law. We have historically low interest rates. And for your viewers out there, Betsy, this is like when you need your windows replaced in your house. You want to do them. You want to get the best deal. Creates jobs in Minnesota, but it also keeps our assets up. So it was a good day. And again, big thanks to a lot of folks, and especially those mayors, city councils, and folks out there who put together these projects. We didn't get everything done, but a good chunk of them.
What about the Senate and House Republicans who say that they're putting the needs of Minnesota before politics and their own frustrations, having passed this?
I would agree with them. I think that, yes, that's the way this is supposed to work. It passed 62-3 in the Senate, and about 25 folks crossed over. I think this thing got politicized when it shouldn't have. It got kind of tied in with COVID response, and I think a lot of Minnesotans expect us to be able to do multiple things at the same time. And this is a smart investment. We know the return on the dollar to the state of Minnesota in terms of keeping up our infrastructure is big. And then signed it with a whole lot of folks who will do the jobs to build this. And this is important right now with the economy in slowdown because of COVID. To be able to have this, it makes sense. And I do think folks put aside partisanship for this. As I said, it took probably 8 months longer than it should have. But, considering the state of political discourse in the country right now, this is a pretty big success. And that followed on doing a budget last year. And I don't know if this is a record or not, but about 20 months into my time in this office, I've not issued a veto. And we've got a budget done. We obviously know we're going to have tough work next year, but we can do it.
Yeah, and being in this pandemic, things are very difficult. You're having to make decisions that you have told me that are hard for you to do. You had a great relationship, maybe great is a little bit optimistic, but you had a good working relationship with Senate Majority Leader Senator Gazelka. Things have gotten a little bit more tense as the peacetime emergency has gone on. Any chance that you can fix that, show that there is some compromise on your part?
I hope so. And I believe, Betsy, that I have done that. I've asked to work together. I think your viewers would say right now, I don't find any joy in this of saying that I was worried about what the fall would look like in terms of COVID infections. Our western border now is the highest infection rate in the world. Coming out of the Dakotas. There is no nation in the world that has higher per capita infection rates. And so trying to make those things, and I saw this week, it's not about not wanting to work together, but I have to follow the science. I cannot agree when the solution is we should do nothing and just let people go about this. That will mean that people will get sick and that there will be avoidable deaths. And so I am more than willing, as I think I've shown, again, a governor issuing no vetoes, compromising on a budget, compromising on the bonding bill. I told them this, as governor, I've not raised a single tax. this, we get into this partisanship that Democrats are taxing and all this. None of that's true. And I think right now it's more important than ever. Let's find some common ground. Let's keep our businesses open. Let's keep our kids in school. But most importantly, let's keep our citizens safe together.